What if I told you that you are not a victim of your circumstances, but the architect of them? And what if every aspect of your life, your health, your wealth, your relationships, was nothing more than the materialization of a blueprint you yourself designed, often without realizing it? The forbidden truth, the one that lies at the heart of all metaphysics, is this: every human being is born with the power of a reality architect. But most of us are asleep at the design table. We are the sleeping architects. We build our lives by default, using the dusty blueprints that were handed down to us, the blueprints of fear, doubt, and scarcity. And then, when we inhabit the crooked, dark building of our reality, we wonder why life feels like a prison. This audiobook is the alarm clock. It is the secret manual that teaches you to pick up the pencil, to erase the old, trembling lines of limitation, and to draw, with the precision of the eye of God, the master blueprint of the life your soul longs for. Here you will not find superficial, positive thinking. You will find a protocol, a science of consciousness that will teach you to use your most divine faculty, visualization, not as a fantasy, but as the most potent act of engineering that exists. This knowledge was veiled, not because it is complex, but because it is liberating. An awakened architect is no longer a prisoner of society's architecture. He is a sovereign being. Chapter 1. Visualization in Ancient Egypt and the Hermetic tradition. Our journey begins not in the present, but at the origin, not in the world of proven facts, but in the realm of forbidden wisdom. To understand the power that lies dormant within you, we must travel through the sands of time, to the cradle of magic, science, and civilization, ancient Egypt. Forget the image of a civilization obsessed only with death and mummies. That is a superficial vision, the outer shell of an infinitely deeper knowledge, a caricature created by those who could only see the tomb and not the rebirth it symbolized. The initiates of the Nile temples, the priests of Thoth and Isis, were not guardians of death. They were, above all, masters of life. They were architects of matter, capable of erecting monuments that still defy our comprehension today, because they were first architects of the mind. For the Egyptian priest, the universe was not a place of solid, dead objects, governed by chance. It was a living manifestation, a tapestry woven with the threads of divine thought. They believed that the entire world, with its stars, its life-giving river, and its vast deserts had been dreamed, imagined, by a great creating consciousness, sometimes called Atum or Ptah, and that they, as children of the gods, as bearers of a spark of that same creating consciousness, had the capacity and the sacred responsibility to participate in that continuous creation. Their power, therefore, did not reside in supplication. It did not reside in asking favors of distant, capricious gods, like a child asks a gift from his father. It resided in invocation. And here lies the first great distinction you must understand, the one that separates the beggar from the magician, the victim from the creator. Asking is an act of lack. It is born of the belief that you are separate from what you desire, that you are small, and that an external, superior force must give it to you. Its vibration is that of powerlessness, of lack. Invoking is an act of alignment. It is born of the profound knowledge that you and the creative power of the universe are one. You do not ask the law of gravity to work. You align with it so as not to fall. In the same way, the Egyptian priest did not ask for harmony. He became the embodiment of harmony through a perfect mental image, and invoked the universal law of divine order, Ma'at, to manifest in the realm. Visualization, for them, was not simple positive thinking. It was a ceremonial act, a sacred technology. In the silent, dark sanctuaries of the temples of Karnak or Abydos, the initiates, after rigorous purification rites, would spend hours, sometimes days, in deep meditative states. There they would construct in their inner eye, the eye of Horus, the eye of awakened consciousness, a perfect, detailed, sensorially rich, living image of the reality they wished to invoke, an abundant harvest that would feed the people, the healing of the sick, victory in a battle that would protect the kingdom. They held that image, not with the anxiety of desire, but with the sovereign calm of one who knows he is contemplating a blueprint that is already real in the mind of God. And by holding that image, they became the tuning fork, the fundamental note that made the universe vibrate at that same frequency. Manifestation in the physical world was not a miracle. It was an inevitable consequence, the echo in matter of a song sung to perfection in the sanctuary of consciousness, the wisdom of Hermes, the primordial law. This Egyptian wisdom, this science of the mind, was distilled and preserved, according to legend, in the teachings of a figure who is at once man and myth, a master of masters, Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great. His principles, known as the Hermetic philosophy, were transmitted in secret throughout the centuries, from mouth to ear, influencing the greatest thinkers, from Plato to Leonardo da Vinci and Newton, and they form the core of forbidden metaphysics. And the first and most fundamental of these principles, the law on which all others are built, is this: the all is mind. The universe is mental. Do not rush past this phrase. Feel its weight. This is not a simple philosophical affirmation. It is the most precise description of the structure of reality. It means that the primordial substance of the universe is not matter or energy, but consciousness. The entire universe is a great thought, a dream, in the mind of an infinite consciousness, which the Hermeticists called the All. Your thoughts, therefore, are not private, ephemeral, impotent events that occur in the box of your skull. They are things. They are energetic structures. They are the same substance that the universe is made of. You do not live in a universe that happens to you. You live in a universe that responds to you. The world is a mirror of your mind. This primordial law unfolds in another key principle, the law of correspondence. As it is above, so it is below. As it is within, so it is without. This means that your individual mind, the within, the microcosm, is a reflection and operates under the same laws as the universal mind, the without, the macrocosm. You are a brain cell in the mind of God. You are a wave in the ocean of consciousness, and as such, you have the capacity to create in your own domain, in the same way that the all creates in its own. Visualization, from this perspective, is revealed in its true and astonishing magnificence. It is not asking an external universe for something. It is the act of using your own mind, which is one with the universal mind, to give shape to a portion of the great cosmic thought. You are the architect who draws a blueprint in the workshop of his mind, and the universal mind, which is the substance of all things and the energy of all builders, acts as the obedient executor that materializes that blueprint in the world of forms. Your mind is the cause. The world is the effect. The three pillars of sacred science creation for the initiates was not a casual act or a simple wish cast to the wind. It was a ritual, a sacred science that rested on three great pillars. Each one is a step in the process of taking an idea from the invisible world of the mind and giving it a body in the visible world of matter. The first pillar, the purity of intention, the purpose of the blueprint. The first and most crucial step was not the image, it was the intention, the why behind the blueprint. Using the mind's power for selfish, unbalanced, and inharmonious ends was considered a form of black magic, a perversion of the law that would, inevitably by the law of the mirror, turn back against its creator, attracting more chaos and disharmony. The architect did not try to impose his will on the universe. He sought through silence, purification, and self-inquiry to discover the will of the universe and become its channel. His question was not, "What do I want?" but "What does life want to manifest through me for the highest good of all?" An intention born of the soul, love, service, expansion of beauty and harmony, is a coherent frequency that finds collaboration. The second pillar, the forging of the archetype, the language of the blueprint. Once the intention was pure, the architect began to draw the blueprint. But he did not use the literal personal images that we often use today. He spoke to the universe in its own language, the language of archetypes. A symbol is an infinitely richer and more potent command for the subconscious. To invoke healing, he invoked the archetype of the sun, feeling its golden light penetrating every cell. To manifest stability, he forged the image of a mountain or a pyramid, feeling its unshakable solidity. The architect knew that by using these potent symbols, he was not simply asking for something. He was activating a universal law, a cosmic force that the archetype represented. The third pillar, the ritual of embodiment, the construction of the blueprint. With the pure intention and the archetypal blueprint forged, the moment of construction arrived. It was a ritual of embodiment, a disciplined act to make the image so real in the inner world that the outer world had no choice but to reflect it. The temple interior. The ritual began by creating a sacred space of silence and deep receptivity, entering the theta state, the portal to the subconscious, the projection of the blueprint. In that silence, he projected his archetypal image, holding it with the calm of the observer who contemplates an already existing truth. Sensory embodiment. He then took the step that changes everything. He did not just see the image, he entered it. He lived it. He used all his imaginary senses to make it real. He felt the warmth of the archetypal sun on his skin. He felt the solidity of the mountain under his feet, the seal of feeling. Finally, he sealed the construction with the most potent energy, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Not longing, but the serene gratitude for a creation already finished. This feeling was the signature on the contract with the universe. It was the act that told the universal mind, the decision is made. The creation is complete on the causal plane. Now manifest it. This ritual, repeated with monastic discipline, was the true work of the ancients. They knew that the construction in the world of matter was only an echo, a shadow of the true work that had already been completed in the workshop of the gods, in the architect's inner eye. You have been introduced to their secret. Chapter 2. The Fire of Transmutation, Visualization in Alchemy and Secret Societies. Now we must address a deeper, more personal, and often more painful question. What happens when the raw material you want to build upon is corrupt? What happens when the ground where you want to erect your temple is full of rocks from old traumas and the weeds of limiting beliefs? What happens when the self trying to visualize abundance is, in itself, steeped in the feeling of scarcity? To answer this, our journey takes us from the open, sunny temples of Egypt to the somber, secret laboratories of medieval and Renaissance Europe. We leave behind the architect who builds in the exterior to meet the alchemist, who performs his most dangerous and most important work in the interior. Because the alchemist discovered the second great forbidden truth. Before you can transform the world, you must first transform yourself. And visualization is not just a tool to build. It is the fire to transmute, the great work, redefining alchemy. Popular history has painted the alchemist as a charlatan or a greedy person, a long-bearded man, hunched over bubbling retorts, obsessed with the literal transmutation of metals with turning lead into gold. This is a smokescreen, a language of the birds, a coded language designed to hide the true nature of their work from the eyes of the Inquisition and the uninitiated. The true alchemist did not work in a chemistry lab. He worked in the laboratory of his own soul. His great work, the magnum opus, was not the creation of physical gold. It was the transformation of human consciousness, of his own being. Lead, prima materia, was the symbol of ordinary human consciousness, dense, heavy, ignorant, asleep, trapped in fear and matter. It was the ego, the sum of our limiting beliefs, our unhealed wounds, our shadow. Gold, lapis philosophorum or philosopher's stone, was the symbol of Christ consciousness, of awakened, illuminated consciousness. It is the state of being of the man who has remembered his own divine nature, who knows himself to be one with the universal mind. Alchemy, therefore, was not chemistry. It was sacred psychology. It was the first and most sophisticated system of self-transformation in the West, a map of the soul's journey from the darkness of ignorance to the light of self-realization, visualization as the alchemical fire. And what was the main tool, the agent of change in this process of transmutation? It was the fire. In alchemical texts there is constant talk of the athanor, the alchemist's furnace, which had to be kept at a precise, constant temperature for long periods of time. This sustained fire was what allowed the lead to decompose, its impurities to be burned away, and its pure essence to reorganize into the crystalline, perfect structure of gold. But the fire of the athanor was, again, a metaphor for the initiate, the athanor. The furnace was the alchemist's own self, his body, his mind, his heart, contained in a space of discipline, solitude, and silence. The substance to be heated was the lead of his own consciousness, his negative thought patterns, his automatic emotional reactions, his traumatic memories, and the fire, the constant heat he applied day after day, was the power of his focused and sustained attention. It was his disciplined imagination. The alchemist had discovered that visualization, when practiced with unshakable intensity and persistence, acts as a psychic fire. It has the power to heat the neural and emotional structures of our being, to melt the old thought patterns, and to allow the energy of our consciousness, once freed, to recrystallize into a new, higher form. They were not trying to think positive or put a layer of gold over the lead. They were bravely entering the furnace of themselves to burn away, through the fire of conscious observation and active imagination, everything that was not gold, the stages of transmutation, the journey through fire. The alchemical process was not a single step, but a journey through several stages. The two first and most crucial, the ones that concern us in our work of purification, are nigredo and albedo. Nigredo, the blackness. The confrontation with lead. The first stage of the great work is the darkest. It is blackness and putrefaction, black death. In this phase, the alchemist does not try to visualize light or gold. He does the opposite. He uses the fire of his imagination to confront his own darkness, his own shadow. It is the act of bravely descending into the basement of one's own psyche and looking without fear and without judgment at the monsters we have locked away there. It is the process of becoming fully conscious of the lead within us. The alchemist revives his most painful failures in his meditation, not to wallow in them, but to extract their lesson and dissolve their emotional charge. He allows himself to fully feel the wound of abandonment or betrayal, so that the energy trapped in that memory can, at last, be released. He uses his inner eye to observe his reactions of anger, envy, and jealousy, not to judge them, but to understand their origin. Nigredo is the perfect antidote to the spiritual bypass of the New Age. It is the recognition that you cannot get to the goal by ignoring or repressing the lead. You must first know it, accept it, and through the fire of your consciousness burn away its impurities until only its essence remains. Visualization in this stage is a tool of purge, of catharsis, albedo, the whiteness, purification and rebirth. Only after the lead has been reduced to ashes, after the ego has been confronted and dissolved in its own darkness, can the second stage begin, the whiteness. It is the cleansing, the purification of the ashes. The alchemist, having emptied the cup, can now fill it with a new substance. It is in this stage that he begins to visualize light, purity, the ideal self, the ritual of the initiates, the reflection chamber. This knowledge, due to its very empowering nature, was dangerous. It was a direct threat to the power structures, and it was kept alive in secret, in Hermetic societies, which were invisible universities dedicated to the practice of the evolution of human consciousness. They took the principles of individual alchemy and structured them into one of the most potent transformation technologies that exist, the initiation ritual. A ritual is not a simple theatrical ceremony. It is a collective, multi-sensory visualization. It is a sacred psychodrama designed to impress the subconscious in a way that solitary meditation rarely can. It engages all senses. A ritual uses visual symbols, the altar, the colors, sounds, music, chants, smells, incense, and even touch and movement. This total sensory immersion makes the experience incredibly real for the subconscious. It creates an egregore. When a group focuses its imagination and intention on the same idea, they create a collective energy field, an egregore or group thought form. This unified field magnifies the power of each individual's visualization. The chamber of reflection was a fundamental ritual. The candidate, left alone in darkness with symbolic objects, a skull, an hourglass, was forced to confront his own mortality and the death of the ego, nigredo. It was a forced visualization of the black death of the self, preparing him for the rebirth, albedo, that would follow. The candidate did not think about the death of his ego. He lived it symbolically, the modern alchemist's workshop, creating your own ritual. You do not need to join a secret society to use the power of ritual. You can become the master of ceremonies of your own inner temple. The first practice, the creation of your personal temple. Designate a small space in your home exclusively for your inner work. It can be a corner of your bedroom. Declare it with intention as your sacred space. In this space, you do not work, argue, or use your phone for social media. It is your laboratory. You place objects with archetypal meaning, a candle for the fire of consciousness, a crystal for solidity, a plant for growth. By creating this space, you signal to your subconscious, when I enter here, we enter sacred mode. The work we do here is important. The second practice, the ritual of intention. Every morning, turn your visualization into a ritual. Enter the temple. Enter your sacred space with reverence. Light the flame. Light your candle, symbolizing the activation of your inner eye. Perform your visualization. Perform your act of creative imagination, as we have learned. You know you are not just daydreaming. You are performing a sacred act within a consecrated space, and your power is magnified. Close the ritual. Extinguish the candle, giving thanks. This act of closing is as important as opening. By structuring your practice as a ritual, you send a signal of immense importance to your subconscious. You are telling it, this is not a casual thought. This is an act of sacred creation. And your subconscious, which loves ritual and symbolism, will respond with an obedience and potency that will astound you. You have ceased to be a mere thinker, and have become the high priest of your own inner temple. Chapter 3. The Architecture of the Brain, Neuroscience of Visualization. The obsolete view of science, the one that still dominates our culture, painted the brain as a passive computer, a mirror that simply registers and reflects external reality. But modern neuroscience in recent decades has demolished this idea, revealing a much stranger and much more powerful truth. Your brain is not a mirror. It is a simulator. Its main job is not to react to the present. Its main job is to predict the future. Every millisecond, your brain is taking data from your past experiences, stored in your vast, complex neural networks, and is building a simulation, a predictive model of what will happen next. This simulation is what you experience as your reality. You do not see the world as it is. You see the world as your brain predicts it to be. That is why you can read a sentence with scrambled letters, or why your brain fills in the blind spot in your vision without you realizing it. You are not seeing. You are predicting, and here lies the root of our prison. If your brain can only predict the future based on past data, you are condemned to live in an endless loop of repetition. The future becomes a mere remix of the past. The architect is asleep, and the machine simply keeps building the same old ruinous building over and over again. To build a new building, you must give the machine a new blueprint. You must teach your brain to predict a different future. And the only tool you have to enter the engine room and load new software is your imagination. Neuroplasticity, the principle of equivalence here. We arrive at the most revolutionary principle of modern neuroscience, the scientific basis of all the power of visualization. It is the principle that your brain does not clearly distinguish between an experience that is happening in the external world and an experience you are living with intensity in your inner world. For your brain, both are real. Both are information. Both are a rehearsal. When you perform an action in your imagination, you are activating the same neural circuits, releasing the same biochemistry, and sending the same signals to your body that would activate if you were performing the action physically. The brain's hardware is agnostic to the source of the experience. When an Olympic athlete visualizes the perfect race, his brain is building the muscle memory without him moving. The fundamental law of neuroplasticity, often summarized as neurons that fire together, wire together, Hebb's law, makes no distinction between a real firing and an imaginary one. Every time you visualize, you are forging new neural superhighways. You are literally rewiring your brain's hardware to reflect a new reality. Erom memories of the future, hacking the predictive system. The result of this repeated mental rehearsal is the creation of a memory of the future. Your brain, as we have said, is an archive of the past, and it uses that archive to predict and create your future. By creatively visualizing consistently and crucially with emotion, you are hacking this system. You are entering the archive and deliberately installing a new memory. A memory of an event that, on the three-dimensional plane, has not yet occurred, but which, for your brain, is already a fact. Once this memory is installed, Your brain's job changes completely. Its new mission is no longer to predict a future based on the past of scarcity. Its new mission is to make the external world match the new internal memory of abundance. Your brain, which abhors incoherence, now has a conflict. My internal memory says I am safe and prosperous, but my external senses show me lack. I must resolve this discrepancy. And because the internal signal, reinforced by repetition and emotion, is now stronger than the echo of the past, the brain begins to work in your favor in astonishing ways. It changes your perception. It commands your reticular activation system to start looking for evidence of your new reality. Suddenly you start noticing opportunities that were previously invisible. It changes your behavior. Your subconscious, now operating from the new memory, begins to guide your decisions and actions in a way that aligns with your new identity. You take calculated risks you were previously afraid to take. You speak with a confidence you did not have before. You are not faking it. You are acting from a truth that has already been installed in your neurology. You are not attracting your future. You are building it from the inside out, rewiring your own brain to become the machine that will inevitably manifest it. Your imagination is the flight simulator. Every visualization session is an hour of flight time in which you are installing the program of your success. The first practice, sensory richness, the body code. For a visualization to be real to your brain, it must be accepted as a new memory and not as a simple fantasy. It must be rich in sensory detail. Your practice is sensory construction. You don't just settle for an image. You create a multisensory hologram. What you see, the exact color of the walls, the way the sunlight hits the floor. What you hear, the specific sound of applause, your loved one's voice saying, "I'm so proud of you." What you feel, the texture of the leather steering wheel, the warmth of your partner's hand. The more sensory channels you involve, the more neurons you activate. And the more neurons that fire together, the more solid and real the neural network you are building becomes. The second practice, consistent repetition, forging the superhighway. A single visualization, no matter how intense, is like cutting a path in a dense jungle with a single machete swing. You need consistent repetition. Your practice is daily rehearsal. You return to your flight simulator every day. Every repetition is like a car passing over the same neural path. After 90 days of consistent practice, you have paved an 8-lane neural superhighway. The new behavior, the new feeling, the new reality has become automatic. Your brain, which is a machine for efficiency, will begin to prefer this new superhighway to the old, bumpy roads of your past programming. The third practice, the emotional seal, the save command. You can have the most sensorially rich simulation and repeat it 1,000 times, but if you don't perform the last most crucial step, your brain will not save it in long-term memory. The save command for the brain is emotion. The emotion is the neurochemical glue that binds the neurons and creates long-term memories. The most potent emotion for sealing a memory of the future is gratitude. When, at the end of your simulation, you generate a deep, genuine feeling of gratitude for the experience you just had in your mind, you are sending your brain the biochemical signal that the event has already happened and that it was good and safe. Your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, associating that pleasurable chemistry with the new neural network you just built. You are making your new future literally addictive on a biological level. You have learned the architecture of the brain. You have learned that visualization is not a fantasy. It is your most important training. Chapter 4. The Key of Vibration, the Language of the Universe. A thought, no matter how clear and focused on its own, is like an architect's blueprint tucked away in a drawer. It is a silent design, a promise unfulfilled. It lacks the power to move energy, to organize matter, to shape the marble of the cosmos. It lacks the fire. It lacks the force. For the universe to execute your blueprints, for the invisible builders to begin construction, you must learn to communicate with them in their own language. And the language of the universe is not that of words or of logical images. The language of the universe is music. We must now give you the key that turns your silent blueprints into a resonant magnetic symphony. We must explore the key of vibration. Forbidden metaphysics reveals to us that the universe is not a logical computer that processes your thoughts as if they were lines of code. It is an infinite orchestra, and every element of creation, from a galaxy to a grain of sand, is an instrument that emits its own unique note, its own frequency. You are no exception. You are one of the most potent and complex instruments in this orchestra, and your state of being at every moment is playing a note. This is not a metaphor, it is physics. Everything is energy, and energy, by definition, vibrates. Every state of consciousness, every emotion has a measurable vibrational signature. Science, through psychophysiology, can record the unique patterns of brain waves, heart rhythm, and skin conductance associated with each emotion. Anger has a fast, sharp, chaotic frequency. Depression has a slow, low, heavy frequency. Peace has a smooth, rhythmic, and coherent frequency. Joy has a fast, light, and harmonious frequency. Your dominant emotional state, your inner climate, is the fundamental note you are playing, the song you are constantly emitting to the universal consciousness field. And here lies the secret that superficial positive thinking completely ignores. The universe is a resonance field. It doesn't hear the lyrics of your song, your thoughts. It feels the music, your vibration. The law of resonance is impersonal, perfect, and infallible. If you play the note of scarcity, the vibration of worry and fear, the universe, as a cosmic tuning fork, has no choice but to make other scarcity notes resonate in your experience. Unexpected bills, lost opportunities, conflicts over money. If you play the note of gratitude, the universe must by law make events, people, and opportunities that harmonize with gratitude resonate in your life. You don't attract what you think. You attract what you are vibrationally. This is the reason why so many well-intentioned affirmations and visualizations fail miserably. They create vibrational dissonance. You sit down to visualize wealth. Your conscious mind, the architect, is projecting a sharp movie of abundance, singing the lyric, "I am prosperous," but your body, your nervous system, your heart, the orchestra, is still vibrating with the familiar feeling of worry, doubt, and scarcity. You are singing the lyrics of wealth over the music of fear. You are showing the blueprint of a magnificent cathedral over the soundtrack of a ruined shack. The signal you emit is contradictory, incoherent. It is static. And the universe, faced with a static signal, either does not respond or, by the law of least resistance, responds to the most potent, most authentic, and most practiced part of the transmission, the music of fear. The initiate in forbidden metaphysics does not focus only on perfecting the blueprint. He focuses above all on tuning his instrument, on ensuring that the orchestra plays the music that corresponds to the score. Your central vibrational emission station is not your brain. It is your heart. The science of the heart math Institute has discovered that the human heart generates an electromagnetic field that is up to 60 times more electrically potent and 5,000 times more magnetically potent than the brain's field. This field is your true energetic signature, your measurable aura. Your thoughts and images generated in the brain are the electrical charge of the field. They contain the information, the blueprint, the score of the symphony. Your feelings, generated and amplified by the heart, are the magnetic charge. They contain the power, the attraction force, the orchestra that interprets the score with passion and volume. When you unite a clear image in your mind with a coherent, elevated emotion in your heart, you are creating a unified, powerful electromagnetic signature. You are giving the universe a clear blueprint and the energy to build it. A visualization without feeling is a blueprint without builders, a score without an orchestra. A feeling without a clear vision is energy without direction. The union of both is the act of conscious creation. Your job is not to shout at the universe with your thoughts. It is to whisper to it from your heart, knowing that the whisper of your heart is thunder in the cosmos. The first practice, the vibrational audit, the frequency monitor. The musician cannot tune his instrument blindly. First, he must pluck a string and listen with implacable honesty to the note it is playing. His first practice is not to change anything, but to become aware. It is the vibrational audit. Several times throughout your day, you pause. You create an instant of silence. And instead of asking yourself, "What am I thinking?" Thus you ask yourself the vibrational programmer's question: what am I feeling? What frequency am I emitting to the universe right now? What is the fundamental note of my being in this instant? Bring all your attention to your body. Do you feel contraction or expansion in your chest? Heaviness or lightness? Tension or relaxation? Name. Then, based on the information from your body, you name the emotion. This is the vibration of impatience. This is the frequency of worry. I am playing the note of calm. This simple act of naming, without judgment, de-identifies you from the emotion. You cease to be the note, and you become the one who listens to it. And in that space of consciousness, your power to choose a new note is born. The second practice, the art of deliberate calibration, changing the note. Once you are aware of your current frequency, you can begin to change it. You do not fight the fear note. That would only make it sound louder. Instead, like a master musician, you deliberately introduce a higher, more harmonious note that, by the law of resonance, will begin to dominate the symphony, causing the lower note to dissolve into its harmony. The somatic path, calibration through the body. The fastest way to change your emotional state is through your physiology. Change your breath. A low-frequency emotion is always accompanied by fast, shallow, chest-level breathing. To change the emotion, change the breath. Take 5 slow, deep, diaphragmatic breaths. This act sends a signal to your nervous system that everything is okay, and the chemistry of stress begins to decrease almost instantly. Change your posture. Adopt the posture of the emotion you want to feel. If you feel defeated, straighten your back, open your chest, and force a slight smile. Your emotional state will follow your physiology. The mnemonic path, calibration through memory. You can use your memory as a vast library of frequencies. Choose the frequency. What state do you want to embody? Unshakable confidence, expansive joy. Search the memory. Scan your memory for a moment, however small. When you felt that emotion purely and potently, immerse and extract. Relive the memory with all your senses until you feel the emotion being born in your body now. Then let go of the story and hold only the pure feeling. You are using the energy of your past to finance your future. The third practice, environmental tuning, tuning with the environment. The vibrational alchemist knows that his instrument is constantly influenced by the environment. Your practice is environmental tuning. You become a conscious curator of your vibrational space. Sonic diet. Consciously choose the music you listen to. Put yourself on a diet of the dissonant noise of fear-based news and hate debates. Social diet. You are the average of the 5 frequencies you are most around. Choose to spend time with high-vibration people, those who resonate with possibility, gratitude, and inspiration. Loving limit your exposure to energy vampires, nature tuning. The initiate knows that nature is the perfect tuning fork. A walk in the forest in silence is the fastest and most effective way to recalibrate your system to the frequency of harmony and peace. The key of vibration has been revealed to you. You have learned that the language of reality is not spoken with the tongue but with the heart. You have the power to change the note, to tune your instrument, and to compose the symphony of a new reality. Chapter 5. The Collapse of Reality, Quantum Physics of Visualization. Forget for a moment the universe of solid, predictable objects that your 5 senses have accustomed you to. Newtonian physics, with its laws of linear cause and effect, is an excellent map for the world of large things. Planets, cars, billiard balls. But when we descend into the world of the very small, to the realm of subatomic particles that are the fundamental bricks of everything that exists, the rules of the game change completely. We enter the strange, wonderful, and deeply spiritual world of quantum physics. And the first revelation of quantum physics, one that echoes the primordial law, is this. At its most fundamental level, the universe is not a set of solid things. It is a soup of pure potentiality. Physicists call this the quantum field. It is an invisible field of energy and information that permeates all space and time. And this field does not contain facts, but infinite probabilities. A subatomic particle, like an electron, before being measured or observed, has no defined location. It is not here or there. It exists literally as a wave of all its possible locations and all its possible states at the same time. It is a cloud of maybes. It is everywhere and nowhere at once. It is pure potentiality. The unobserved universe is a dream. It is a field of infinite possibilities, waiting for a consciousness to awaken and choose one of them to manifest. How is the choice made? What is it that converts this soup of potentiality into the solid, tangible reality we experience? What is the mechanism of creation? The answer, unequivocal and demonstrated thousands of times in laboratories around the world, is found in the most famous, most mysterious, and most profound experiment in all of science, the double-slit experiment. Imagine you have a wall with two vertical slits and a detection screen behind it. When scientists performed this experiment without observing, they discovered that an electron behaved as a wave. It passed through both slits at once, like a water wave, and created an interference pattern on the screen. It was a ghost of potentiality, but here comes the miracle, the forbidden revelation. The moment scientists placed a detector, an observer, to see which of the two slits the electron passed through, it stopped being a wave and behaved like a marble. It appeared in a single point, behaving like a solid, predictable object. Repeat after me. The simple act of observing forced the formless energy to make a decision, to collapse its wave of potentiality into a single, localized event in space and time. The observer's consciousness was not simply seeing reality, it was creating it with its act of observation. The implication of this fact is the most powerful and most suppressed truth of all. It means that you, with your consciousness, with your eye of God, are that observer. Your life is not a movie that has already been filmed and that you are simply watching. Your life is a quantum field of infinite potential movies, and your conscious attention, your visualization, is the light of the projector that illuminates a single frame, collapsing all other possibilities and bringing that single reality into your experience. The unobserved future is a soup of potentialities. The future where you are prosperous and the future where you are in ruin coexist as vibrational probabilities. The act of visualization is not thinking positive about the future. It is the act of using your eye of God to focus your attention on one of those potential futures. By observing it with clarity, with feeling, with conviction, you are looking through one of the slits. You are telling the universe, of all the infinite possibilities, I choose this one. And the universe, by the law of the observer, is obligated to obey. It collapses the wave of potentiality and begins to organize the energy and matter to correspond with the reality that you have chosen with your observation. Your imagination is not a fantasy. It is the reality collapse tool. You are a sleeping God who has been collapsing realities by default, based on his fears and his programming, without realizing his power. The first practice, sensory richness, the body code. For a visualization to be real to your brain, it must be accepted as a new memory and not as a simple fantasy. It must be rich in sensory detail. Your practice is sensory construction. You become a detail-obsessed film director. When forging your wish-fulfilled scene, you create a multisensory hologram. What you see, the exact color of the walls, the golden patterns of light on the wooden floor. What you hear, the specific sound of applause, your loved one's voice saying, I am so proud of you. What you feel, the texture of the leather steering wheel, the warmth and pressure of your partner's hand. The more sensory channels you involve, the more neurons you activate, and the more neurons that fire together, the more solid and real the neural network you are building becomes. You are creating a memory so rich that your brain will archive it as a real memory. You are writing the code in the language of the body. The second practice, consistent repetition, forging the superhighway. A single visualization is like cutting a path in a dense jungle with a single machete swing. To create a permanent change, you need consistent repetition. Your practice is daily rehearsal. Every day you return to your flight simulator. You relive your short, sensorially rich scene of the wish fulfilled. After 90 days of consistent practice, you have paved an 8-lane neural superhighway. The new behavior, the new feeling, the new reality has become automatic. Your brain, which always follows the path of least resistance, will begin to prefer this new, brand new superhighway to the old, bumpy roads of your ancient programming. The third practice, the emotional seal, the save command. You can have the most sensorially rich simulation and repeat it 1,000 times, but if you don't perform the last and most crucial step, your brain will not save it in long-term memory. That last step, the save command for the brain, is emotion. Emotion is the neurochemical glue that binds the neurons and creates long-term memories. The most potent emotion for sealing a memory of the future is gratitude. When, at the end of your simulation, you generate a deep, genuine feeling of gratitude for the experience you just had in your mind, you are sending your brain the biochemical signal that the event has already happened and that it was good and safe. You are making your new future literally addictive on a biological level. You are telling your body, the subconscious mind, this is our new emotional home. Memorize it. This is the new reality we must default to. Chapter 6. The Master Blueprint, the Art of Clarity. The untrained mind, the one that has been hypnotized by the culture of reaction and powerlessness, operates from vagueness. Its desires are shapeless clouds, nebulous impulses, sighs cast to the wind. I want to be happy. I want more money. I want to find love. These are not blueprints. They are sketches on a napkin. They are the yearning of a child who wants something pretty without knowing what it is, without being able to describe it. And when you present this vague sketch to the master builder, your subconscious mind and the quantum field, what can it do? Imagine you hire the world's best architect and construction team. You arrive at the land where you want to build your life. They are there, with their tools, their machinery, their vast resources ready to work for you. And when they ask for the blueprints, you hand them a crumpled napkin on which you have scribbled, "I want a big, nice house." They would look at you with a mixture of confusion and compassion. What does big mean? 200 square meters or 2,000? What style is nice? Modern, rustic, classic? Where do the walls go? And the windows? And the foundations? Without a detailed, dimensional, and specific blueprint, the most expert builders in the world are paralyzed. They cannot build. Your subconscious mind and the universe are those builders. They are infinitely powerful, incredibly precise and absolutely literal, but they cannot interpret ambiguity. A vague desire is a useless command, and faced with a confusing order, the subconscious, by the law of least resistance, will do one of two things. It will do nothing. It will remain in neutral, waiting for clear instructions, while you become frustrated by the universe's inactivity. It will continue building based on the old blueprints. It will continue materializing the familiar reality of your old programming of scarcity, loneliness or struggle, because at least those blueprints, though undesirable, are clear, detailed, and have been practiced for years. Clarity is not a preference. It is a physical requirement for manifestation. Why is clarity so crucial? The answer lies in the nature of the machinery we are working with. The subconscious as a literal GPS. Your subconscious mind, the giant that executes 95% of your life, is like an unimaginably powerful GPS navigation system. It is incredibly effective at finding the best route to a destination, recalculating in the face of obstacles, avoiding traffic problems, and guiding you turn by turn through synchronicities. But for it to work, you must first enter a specific address, an exact coordinate. If you get into your car and enter, "Take me to a nice place in the north," into the GPS app, the system cannot function. It will give you an error, invalid destination. But if you enter, "Take me to Playa El Agua, Margarita Island, Venezuela," the system instantly activates. In a fraction of a second, it connects to the satellite network, the superconsciousness, calculates the optimal route, gives you the first turn, and begins guiding you with total confidence. Your vague desires are invalid destinations for your subconscious. Your master blueprint is the exact address, the quantum field and the resonance pattern. As we have seen, the quantum field is a field of potentiality. Your visualization is the act of collapsing that potential into a reality. And you do this by emitting a coherent electromagnetic signature. A vague desire, "I want to be happy," emits a diffuse, unfocused signal. It's like trying to tune into a radio station by randomly spinning the dial across a wide range. The result is pure static, a clear, specific master blueprint charged with the corresponding emotion emits a coherent, crisp, and precise signal. It's like tuning the dial exactly to frequency 107.7 FM. The signal is crystal clear, and the universe, which operates by resonance, has no choice but to respond to that clear signal, attracting the experiences, people, and opportunities that vibrate at that same frequency. Clarity is the act of fine-tuning your transmitter. Without it, you are only emitting noise. The allegory of the sculptor and the marble sculptor stands before a rough block of marble. The block contains, in potential, an infinity of sculptures, an angel, a demon, a bowl, a simple cube. It is pure potentiality. The novice sculptor, without a clear plan in mind, without a vision, simply begins to hit the marble at random, hoping that something pretty will emerge. Each blow is a reaction to their current mood, a doubt, an impatient impulse. The result, if any, is a shapeless mess, a mass of mutilated stone, a chaotic manifestation. The master sculptor, on the other hand, performs the true work before touching the chisel. He sits in silence before the block, and in his inner eye, in the workshop of his imagination, he sees the statue that already resides within the marble. He sees it from all angles. He feels the texture of its stone skin, the curve of its form, the emotion it conveys. He makes it so real in his mind that the physical sculpture becomes a mere formality, an echo. His subsequent work is not an act of creation, but of liberation. He is not adding anything to the marble. He is simply, with precise, deliberate, and confident blows, taking away everything that is not the statue. Your life is that block of marble, full of infinite potential, and your master blueprint is the clear vision that allows you to remove, with a surgeon's precision, everything that does not belong to your work of art, to your highest self. The first practice, the art of distillation, the chisel of the question. A master architect does not start drawing random lines. First, he understands the function of the building. Is it a temple for peace, a fortress for security, a theater for expression? Your first practice is not to imagine the form, but to distill the essence, the function of your desire. Your tool is the sharpest chisel of consciousness, the question, why? You take your journal, your design table, and you choose a desire you yearn for, one of those vague clouds, and you begin the process of distillation, of removing the non-essential layers until you reach the diamond of the true yearning, the superficial desire. I want a new, luxurious car. You apply the chisel. Why do I want this car? First layer, to feel successful and free. We are closer to the essence, but successful and free are still concepts. You apply the chisel. Again, why do I want to feel successful and free? What would that feeling give me? Second layer, it would give me a sense of security, that I've made it, that I can go wherever I want, whenever I want. It's a feeling of expansion, of having no limits. You apply the chisel one last time. What is the pure emotion, the vibration at the heart of expansion and security? The core, it is a feeling of sovereign peace, of unconditional freedom. You have distilled the desire. Your true yearning is not an object of metal and leather. It is a state of being, peace, freedom. The car was only a possible vehicle for that feeling, the only strategy your logical mind had conceived. This clarification process is fundamental. It frees you from attachment to the specific way you think your desire must manifest. When you focus on the state of being of peace or freedom, you give the universe infinite freedom to deliver it to you. Maybe it will arrive through the car, or maybe it will arrive through a new business opportunity that gives you more freedom than the car ever could, or through an inner realization that makes you feel peaceful without anything external changing. By focusing on the essence, you align with the frequency, not the object. The second practice, building the scene, the sensory blueprint. Now that you have found the essence, the why, it is time to build the what. But you don't build an abstract idea. You build a scene. A short, vivid, first-person scene that implies your desired essence is already a fact. This is the creation of your memory of the future. Your practice is that of sensory construction. Choose the moment. Choose a moment after your desire has been fulfilled. Not the moment of receiving the check, but the moment you are enjoying the freedom that check has given you. This is a master secret. By focusing on the after, Your subconscious mind accepts the how as something that has already happened. Build the scene, using your distilled essence, freedom, as peace. Build a 10-second scene that demonstrates it. Example, if your essence is freedom, the scene might be, you are driving down a coastal road at sunset. Through your own eyes, you see the blue ocean to your right with the sun setting on the horizon. You feel the warm breeze on your face and the soft touch of the leather steering wheel under your hands. You hear your favorite song playing on the radio, one that makes you feel expansive. And most importantly, you feel an overwhelming surge of joy, expansion and gratitude in your chest, and you sigh with profound relief. Verify with the senses, the quality check. Review your scene like a film director reviewing a shot. What do I see? The ocean, the sun, my hands on the steering wheel. What do I hear? My favorite song, the sound of the waves. What do I feel in my body? The breeze on my face, the steering wheel, and crucially, the expansion in my chest. What do I smell? The salty air of the sea. Make the scene so real that your body doesn't know it's not happening. The third practice. The title of the blueprint, the mental anchor. A master blueprint has a title that identifies it. Your scene needs one too. A short, evocative, emotion-charged name that acts as an anchor, a mental shortcut to instantly access the scene and its feeling. For the car scene, the title could be Freedom on the Coast. Chapter 7. Construction in the Ether, the Ritual of Sensory Visualization. The ancients knew that before matter, there exists a substance, a subtle, invisible, formless energy that permeates all space. They called it the ether, the akasha, the prima materia. Modern physics calls it the quantum field, the zero-point field. This ether is the invisible canvas of the universe. It is the cosmic clay, infinitely plastic and receptive, waiting to receive a form, an impression, a command, and the tool that shapes that clay, the only force in the universe capable of imprinting a design onto the ether, is your focused consciousness, your God's eye. Sensory visualization is not a simple mental exercise to motivate yourself. It is the act of projecting your master blueprint onto the canvas of the ether. It is the first act of construction. It is the moment your cathedral ceases to be an idea on a parchment and becomes an energetic structure, a vortex, a quantum mold that will begin, by the law of resonance, to attract the matter, circumstances, and synchronicities necessary for its physical manifestation. But this act of projection is not casual. It is not a passing thought. It is a ritual, an act of sacred engineering that requires preparation, focus, and absolute discipline. To project your blueprint onto the ether, with the necessary power to materialize, so that your whisper becomes a command, you must follow the ritual of the soul architect. The first practice, the creation of the inner temple. The architect does not work in the chaos of a market. He works in the stillness of his workshop, with the doors closed and the tools in order. Your first practice is to create that workshop, that inner temple. Choose the time and place, choose a time of day when you will not be interrupted. The most powerful portal, as we have seen, is the drowsy state, just before sleep. It is the moment when the veil between your conscious and subconscious mind is thinnest, when the critical guardian of logic has retreated to rest. Find a place where you feel safe and at peace. Your bed, your meditation chair. Silence the outer world. This is an act of sovereignty. Turn off your phone. Close the door. Ask your family not to disturb you. Eliminate all possible distractions. You are about to perform sacred work. Treat it with the reverence it deserves. You are hermetically sealing your workshop. Silence the inner world, and most importantly, silence the noise of your mind. Through deep conscious breathing, let go of the day's worries. Let go of your to-do list. Let go of your personal identity, your history, your roles. You become for a moment pure consciousness, the God's eye that prepares to observe and create. You are the blank canvas before the first stroke is drawn. You have created the temple. You have cleaned the canvas. You have entered the stillness of the ether. Now, you are ready to project. The second practice, the projection of the blueprint, sensory visualization. Now, you open your inner eye and begin construction. You do not think about your scene. You live it. You take your master blueprint, that short first-person essence-charged scene you forged in the previous chapter. and you project it onto the screen of your mind with absolute intensity and sensory richness. You become the world's most meticulous film director. Sight the architect's eye. Through your own eyes, observe the details. Do not rush. Become a connoisseur of your new reality. Notice the texture of the wall, the glint of the sun on a glass surface, the expression on the face of a person smiling at you, the colors, the shapes, the light. Make the scene so sharp, so stable, so real that for a moment you forget your eyes are closed. Hearing the acoustics of the temple, what sounds fill your new reality? Don't imagine it in silence. Give it a soundtrack. Hear the sound of your own laugh, free and joyful, the murmur of the sea, the voice of someone congratulating you, the music of celebration. Build a soundscape so real that your ears can almost perceive it. Touch, the foundations of reality. This is one of the most powerful senses for convincing your brain. Feel your new reality. Feel the touch of the fabric of your new clothes on your skin. Feel the weight of the object you hold in your hand, the published book, the keys to the house. Feel the warmth of an embrace. Feel the solidity of the ground beneath your feet. Anchor your vision in the physical sensation, smell and taste, the essence of the experience. These are the most primal senses, those directly connected to the memory and emotion centers of your brain, the amygdala and hippocampus. Is there a smell in your scene? The aroma of coffee in your new kitchen? The smell of a new book in your study? The perfume of a loved one? The taste of celebratory food? Adding these details is like adding a layer of varnish that makes all the colors of your painting stand out. By weaving this multi-sensory net, you are doing more than just imagining. You are creating a complete neurological experience. You are building a memory of the future, so dense, so textured, and so real that your brain has no choice but to accept it as truth. You are constructing in the ether an energetic structure that now has a clear, potent, and defined vibrational signature. You have created the mold, but a mold, however perfect, is just an empty form. Now we must fill it with the substance of life. We must light the fire. The feeling that collapses reality, the one that seals the construction in the ether, is the preemptive emotion. It is the art of feeling now, the emotion you would feel if your desire were already a tangible fact in your reality. It is the act of generating the soundtrack before the movie is released. The first practice, the fire of the essence, the connection to the why. How do you generate a feeling that seemingly does not correspond to your current reality? You don't fake it. You invoke it. And where do you invoke it from? Not from the external form of your desire, but from its essence, from that sacred why you distilled in the previous chapter. Your practice is the invocation of essence. Enter your scene. You begin your ritual. You enter your inner temple. You project your sensorially rich scene. You are there in your new reality with all your senses. Connect with the core. And then in the midst of that scene you pause. And you ask your heart, the architect of the soul, what is the essence, the pure feeling that I seek here? Is it the peace that financial freedom brings you? Is it the deep connection that relationship brings you? Is it the vitality that emanates from perfect health? Invoke the feeling. Let go of the image for an instant. Release the form and focus solely on invoking that pure emotion in your body. Ask yourself, how does true peace feel in my body? Allow the sensation to arise. Feel your shoulders relax. Feel your breath become deeper and slower. Feel the calm expanding from your heart like ripples in a pond. You are bathing in the frequency of your true desire. You have lit the fire. The second practice, alchemical fusion, emotional impregnation. Now you perform the alchemical fusion. You take the fire of the emotion you have invoked and pour it into the mold of your image, fusing them into one single powerful reality. While holding the feeling of peace, you return to your scene. And now the scene is no longer a simple movie. It is alive. It is vibrating with the frequency of your essence. You no longer just see your dream house. You feel the peace and security that emanate from its walls. You no longer just sense the embrace of your ideal partner. You feel the unconditional love and connection flowing through it. You no longer just hear the news of your success. You feel the expansive relief and freedom that floods your being. This is the moment of conception. It is the instant when the sperm of the image unites with the egg of the emotion, creating an energetic embryo in the womb of the ether, an embryo that now has a life of its own and will begin to grow. You have impregnated the blueprint with the vital force of your heart. The third practice, the seal of gratitude, the save command. Finally, you seal your creation with the most powerful emotion of all, the save command for the brain and the universe, gratitude. At the end of your visualization ritual, while you are still immersed in the living, felt scene, you generate an overwhelming surge of gratitude. It is not gratitude for something that will come. It is gratitude for the experience you just had in the workshop of your mind, recognizing it as the true creation. Thank you for this feeling. Thank you for this reality. Thank you because it is already done. This feeling of gratitude is the final signature on the contract. It is the most potent declaration of faith. You are telling the universe and your subconscious, I trust you so completely that I am already celebrating the gift, even if my physical eyes do not yet see it. It is the frequency of reception, and the universe, sensing this absolute trust, this acceptance that the creation is already finished on the plane of consciousness, hastens to deliver the gift on the plane of matter. Chapter 8. The Fire of the Heart. The Emotional Charge. In the world of superficial self-help, we are often given simplistic advice. To manifest, you just need to feel good. Raise your vibration. But this is a half-truth, a simplification as dangerous as a lie. It's like telling an aspiring chef that they just need to heat the food. It completely ignores the art of temperature, timing, and technique. Not all positive emotions are the same. Not all are creative. The universe, as we have learned, does not respond to positivity itself. It responds to the coherence of the signal, the fire of the ego chaos. Emotions such as nervous excitement, desperate craving, or euphoria over a sudden gain, while they may feel positive on the surface, are often energetically chaotic. They are intense but unstable, erratic, and short-lived flames. They are the vibrational signature of instability, need, and attachment to the outcome. They emit a noisy, disordered signal full of static to the quantum field, the fire of the soul, coherence. Emotions such as serene gratitude, confident calm, appreciation for beauty, or unconditional love are energetically coherent. They are a constant, stable, harmonious, and self-sustaining flame. They are the vibrational signature of order, balance, and alignment with the source. They emit a clear, pure, potent, and magnetic signal. An architect would not build a cathedral on ground that suffers constant earthquakes. Likewise, you cannot build a stable, lasting reality on the unstable ground of a chaotic emotion dependent on circumstances. The initiate into forbidden. Metaphysics does not seek simply to feel good. They seek to cultivate the coherence of the heart. They seek mastery of the inner fire. This is not a mystical or poetic concept. It is a measurable fact of human biophysics. The HeartMath Institute, through decades of pioneering research, has shown that our emotional state has a direct and measurable impact on our heart rate pattern. And this pattern is the key to our creative power. The rhythm of chaos, incoherence. When you experience stressful or chaotic emotions, frustration, impatience, anxiety, even excessive excitement for the desire, your heart rhythm becomes incoherent. The graph that measures it, heart rate variability or HRV, looks like an irregular, spiky, chaotic mountain range. In this state, your heart and brain are desynchronized. You are in a state of internal war, with different systems of your body sending contradictory signals. The electromagnetic signal your heart emits to the field is noisy, disordered. It is pure static. It is an erratic magnet that attracts more chaos and unpredictability into your life. The rhythm of creation, coherence. When you deliberately cultivate elevated and stable emotions, gratitude, calm, appreciation, compassion, your heart rhythm becomes coherent. The graph transforms into a smooth, orderly, sinusoidal wave, like a perfect wave on a calm ocean. In this state, your heart, brain, and nervous system synchronize. Your entire system enters a state of balance and optimal performance. The signal your heart emits is pure, clear, potent, and magnetically attractive. Heart coherence is not just a feel-good state. It is the state of optimal biological and creative performance. In coherence, your immune system strengthens. Your cognitive function improves. Your hormones balance, and crucially for our work, you become the clearest and most potent transmitter for manifestation. Imagine a goldsmith working with gold. To shape it, to turn it into a piece of jewelry, he must first melt it. The novice, impatient and without technique, applies an immense, violent torch to the gold. The flame is intense, noisy, erratic, sputtering. The gold melts, yes, but it splatters, boils, burns at the edges, creating impurities. The process is inefficient, wastes material, and is dangerous. The final result is an impure, fragile, and flawed piece. This is the energy of desperate yearning and chaotic excitement. The master goldsmith, on the other hand, does not use a violent torch. He places the gold in a crucible and heats it with a constant, uniform, and precise fire. The flame is serene, silent, controlled. The gold melts gently, turning into a pure, golden, and perfectly malleable liquid, without splattering or impurities. The process is efficient, safe, and elegant. The result is a perfect, lasting work of art. This is the energy of gratitude and coherent calm. The first practice, the somatic door, the breath bellows. The fastest and most direct way to change your emotional state, to move from the chaotic rhythm of stress to the symphony of coherence, is not through the mind. It is through the body. Your physiology and your emotion are inseparably linked in a constant feedback loop. To light the fire of coherence, you must first prepare the furnace, and the bellows that stokes the flame, that introduces the oxygen of calm into your system, is your breath. Your practice is heart-focused breathing. Focus your attention, the gateway. Sit in a comfortable position, with your back straight to allow an unobstructed flow of energy. Close your eyes and bring all your attention to the center of your chest, the area of your heart. If it helps, you can place a hand over it. This simple act of focus begins to divert energy from your thinking brain, the ego, to your feeling brain, the heart. Slow the rhythm, the calm command. Begin to breathe a little slower and deeper than normal. The key is the rhythm. Try to make the inhalation and exhalation the same length. A powerful and easy-to-remember rhythm is inhaling to a count of 5 and exhaling to a count of 5. Do not force it. Find a rhythm that feels comfortable and sustainable. Breathe through the heart, the intention. Now add the layer of intention. Imagine that your breath, instead of entering through your nose, flows directly in and out of your heart. As you inhale, feel your heart expanding with fresh, life-giving energy. As you exhale, feel your body relax, releasing tension. Maintain the rhythm. Continue this rhythmic, heart-focused breathing for 1, 2, or 3 minutes. This simple act is a direct command to your nervous system. You are telling it, exit survival mode. Enter creation mode. You are literally changing the electrical signal your brain sends to your heart, inviting it through rhythm to enter the coherent pattern. You have prepared the ground. You have stoked the embers. The second practice, emotional invocation, lighting the flame. With your system now in a state of receptive calm, with the embers lit, it is time to add the fuel. It is time to light the flame of elevated emotion. Your practice is one of deliberate emotional invocation. You do not wait to feel gratitude. You generate it. Choose the frequency. While continuing your heart-focused breathing, choose an elevated, coherent emotion you wish to embody. Gratitude, appreciation, compassion, or a deep calm are the most potent and easiest to access. Do not try to jump to a forced ecstasy. Start with the warmth of appreciation. Activate the memory, the frequency library. Use your memory as a frequency library. Bring a genuine memory to your mind in which you felt that emotion. It doesn't have to be a major event. The subconscious mind responds to the intensity of the feeling, not the grandiosity of the circumstance. For appreciation, think of the beauty of a sunset that took your breath away. For gratitude, recall a moment when someone unexpectedly helped you. For love, evoke the feeling of petting your pet or hugging a loved one. Immerse yourself and feel. Do not just think about the memory. Immerse yourself in it, relive it. Feel the warmth, the expansion, the openness in your chest that this emotion generated. Feel the smile forming on your face. Sustain the feeling, the alchemical extraction. Once you feel the flame of emotion in your heart, release the story, release the specific memory, and remain only with the pure feeling. Keep your attention on that warm, expansive sensation in your chest, breathing through it, stoking it with each inhalation, allowing it to grow and stabilize. You have lit the fire. You are deliberately emitting a coherent signal to the quantum field. You are striking the note of creation. The third practice, magnetic projection, directing the fire. Finally, you take this coherent fire, this serene and potent flame, and join it to your master blueprint. You convert the heat into directed light, bring the image, the blueprint, while maintaining the feeling of gratitude or peace burning in your heart. Now, and only now, bring the scene of your already fulfilled desire onto the screen of your mind. Bathe the blueprint in fire, the fusion. Imagine that the feeling emanating from your heart is a golden, warm light, a tangible magnetic field. And with that light, with that field, you completely bathe, illuminate, and saturate your imaginary scene. The image and the feeling fuse. They are no longer two separate things. They become a single electromagnetic signature, a living reality on the plane of consciousness, the seal of gratitude. And you seal this act with one last surge of gratitude. Not gratitude for the feeling, but gratitude for the reality already created within you. Thank you because it is already done. Chapter 9. The Seal of Certainty, the Art of Letting Go and Trusting. Imagine a gardener who has prepared the soil with infinite care. He has chosen the most perfect seed from his collection, one that promises a magnificent tree. He has planted it carefully, reverently, and watered it with the purest water. He has done all his work, but his faith is weak. He is attached to the outcome. Consumed by anxiety every morning instead of trusting, he unearths the seed with his trembling fingers to see if it is growing. Seeing no sprout, he sighs in disappointment and reburies it. The next day, tormented by impatience, he repeats the process. What will happen to that seed? Inevitably, it will die. It will never have the chance to germinate in the stillness, darkness, and trust that it needs. The very act of checking for growth is what prevents it. Most of us are that anxious gardener. We perform a powerful visualization ritual. We plant the seed of our new reality. And then we spend the rest of the day unearthing it with our thoughts, our words, and our emotions. We worry about how it will manifest. We doubt whether we have truly done it right. We obsessively look for signs that it is working. We look at our external reality and complain that the sprout has not yet appeared. Every one of these acts is born from the same toxic energy, attachment. And attachment is the poison that kills our creations in the cradle. Why attachment is not the same as intention. Intention is clear, focused, powerful. Attachment is needy, anxious, fearful. Attachment is born from the fear of not getting it. And this fear, as we already know, is a vibration of lack, the most dissonant note in the symphony of creation. When you become attached to an outcome, you are shouting at the universe with the powerful energy of your heart, I don't have it. I desperately need it to be happy. And the universe, which is a mirror, does not hear your intention. It hears your despair, and it reflects back to you with perfect fidelity more experiences of not having and needing. The ego's attachment clings not only to the what, but especially to the how and the when. My abundance must come through this job. Love has to come from this person. It has to happen before the end of the month. This rigidity is a form of arrogance. It is the finite mind of the architect trying to give orders to the infinite builder about which tools to use. You are telling the universe, of your infinite and miraculous ways of delivering my good, I only accept this one limited pathway that my logic can conceive. By clinging to your plan, you often block the much more elegant and magnificent plan the universe had for you. To be able to let go, to free yourself from the agony of attachment, you must understand why the waiting exists. Why doesn't your new reality appear instantly after your visualization? The answer lies in the inertia of the physical world. Imagine your life as a supertanker, sailing in a specific direction across the ocean of time. Your old state of being, your old programming, was the course programmed into the autopilot. The visualization ritual was the act of going to the control room and turning the rudder with all your might in a magnificent new direction. But a million-ton supertanker does not turn instantly like a speedboat. Its mass, its inertia is immense. It requires an enormous distance, sometimes miles, for its bow to visibly start pointing in the new direction. Throughout that turning time, if you look out the window of the bridge, you still see the same old familiar scenery, that period of lag, that time between the internal turn of the rudder and the external change of scenery, is the mirror test. The world you now see with your 5 senses is not a reflection of your current state, the new seed you just planted. It is an echo of your past state. It is the manifestation of the beliefs and feelings you held yesterday, last week, last year. You are seeing the harvest of the old seeds, and the universe, through this lag, is not punishing you. It is testing you. It is asking you the most important question of all. Do you truly believe it? Do you believe more in the new reality you have built in your inner temple, or do you believe more in the shadows of the past that your physical eyes are showing you? It is a test of conviction. It is a test of faith. And faith in this context is not a blind hope. It is a loyalty. It is the act of remaining loyal to the invisible reality you have created in your imagination, above loyalty to the visible reality of your five senses. Doubt, in this crucial period, is the act of aborting your own creation. It is the panic of the supertanker captain who, seeing no immediate change in the landscape, shouts, "This isn't working," and in his frustration turns the rudder back to the old direction. The ship, which had begun its slow, powerful, and majestic turn, stops its momentum and returns to its original course, condemned to sail the same old seas. The first practice, the difference between surrender and resignation. To be able to let go with power, you must first understand on a cellular level what letting go is not. It is not resignation. They are opposite poles of the energetic spectrum, although to the untrained mind they may seem similar. Resignation is the state of the victim. It is born of powerlessness and hopelessness. It is the sigh of, "I guess I'll never get it, so I better not get my hopes up." It feels heavy, contractive, like an inner collapse. It is abandoning construction because you believe the materials are faulty or the builder is incompetent. It is letting go of the rope because you no longer have the strength. Surrender, on the other hand, is the state of the master. It is born of power and absolute trust in the law. It is the serene declaration of the architect who, having delivered the perfect blueprints to the construction team, withdraws from the site and trusts that the work will be done perfectly. He does not worry about every nail and every brick. His vibration is one of unwavering calm, lightness, and certainty. It is letting go of the rope as a deliberate strategic move. You do not let go of your desire. You let go of your struggle for your desire. You let go of your need to control the process. The second practice, the ritual of release, handing over the blueprint. The ego does not relinquish control easily. Its identity is based on doing and worrying. To convince it to retreat, you often need a ritual, a symbolic act that demonstrates to your entire system that the surrender is safe and definitive. Your practice is the ritual of release. Write the contract. You take your master blueprint, your scene of the fulfilled desire, and write it down on a piece of paper with the greatest possible clarity and feeling. This act of writing it down takes it out of the ethereal realm of the mind and gives it a first tangible form. Perform the symbolic act. Then, you perform an act that symbolizes your handing over of this blueprint to the universal builder. The subconscious understands the language of symbols much better than that of words. You can fold the paper and safely burn it. Watching the smoke carry the essence of your intention to the heavens, transforming it from a personal plan into a universal prayer. You can put it in a bottle and throw it into a river or the sea, trusting that the current of life will carry it to its perfect destination. You can tie it to a biodegradable helium balloon and watch it ascend until it disappears into the infinite blue, releasing it from your earthly hands and handing it over to a higher perspective. Pronounce the decree of surrender. While performing this act, you pronounce the decree of surrender. It is not a plea. It is a declaration of sovereign trust. Universe, infinite intelligence, I hand over this blueprint to you. I have forged it with clarity and love. I have done my part. Now, with total confidence and an open heart, I surrender the how and the when. I trust in your perfect timing and your infinite wisdom to materialize it in the way that is for my highest good and the good of all. I release my control. I am open to receiving this or something even better. Thank you because it is already done. This ritual is an act of psychomagic. It is a contract you sign with yourself and with the cosmos. It is your declaration that your work as the architect is finished and the builder's work begins now. The third practice, the mental diet, protecting the construction. Once you have delivered the blueprint, your only task is to protect the construction site from vandals, and the most dangerous vandals are your own thoughts of doubt and your words of lack. Your final practice is the mental diet. It is the art of refusing to entertain any thought, conversation, or feeling that originates from the old mirror reflection and contradicts the new truth you have decreed. The 3D reality fast. During the gestation period, you stop obsessively looking for proof in the external world. You do not check your bank account every hour expecting the miracle. You do not look for signs that it is working. This act of searching is a declaration of doubt. It is the gardener unearthing the seed, the silent counter-decree. When a thought of doubt or fear appears, and it will like a ghost of the old programming, you do not fight it. You do not get frustrated. You calmly recognize it for what it is, an echo of the past, the ghost of your old self, a passing storm cloud. And with sovereign calm you declare your counter-truth in the silence of your mind. That is the old story. It is no longer my reality. My truth is your new I am decree. What I see is just a fading shadow. Loyalty in conversation. You refuse to engage in conversations of complaint or lack that reinforce the old reality, neither with others nor with yourself. Chapter 10. Living in the Finished Temple. Throughout this manual, you have learned a series of practices and protocols, the forging of the master blueprint, sensory construction, the fire of the heart, the seal of gratitude. These tools have been the scaffolding, the necessary structure to erect the magnificent building of your new consciousness. They are essential in the construction phase, but the goal of all scaffolding is not to remain forever. It is to be removed once the building is solid. Once the structure can stand on its own, majestic and free, the final mastery, the state of sovereignty to which all this knowledge points, arrives at the moment when you stop practicing to manifest and begin to be the manifestation. The techniques dissolve. Why? Because you have practiced them with such devotion, with such consistency, that they have become automatic. They have migrated from your conscious mind to your subconscious. They have become your new default state of being. You no longer need to practice visualization to feel prosperous. Your natural state is prosperity. You no longer need to practice gratitude to raise your vibration. Your heart, by habit, resides in a state of appreciation. You no longer need to practice faith to overcome the mirror test. Your certainty in your own creative power is as fundamental as your own breath. The conscious effort to create dissolves, and in its place, a state of being emerges from which the reality you desire emanates from you naturally, like the perfume of a flower or the light of a star. You stop being the architect who designs the temple. You become the God who inhabits it. This is the final identity shift, the one that transforms everything. The architect lives in the future. Their focus is on the blueprint, on what will be. Their energy is one of construction, of becoming. It is an energy of movement toward a goal. The dweller, the sovereign, lives in the now. Their focus is on the experience of already being in the temple. Their energy is one of embodiment, of already being. It is an energy of emanation from a center. This difference is crucial. As long as you continue to identify as the creator or the manifester, you maintain a subtle but fundamental separation. There is still a you who creates and a thing that is created, a you that attracts and a reality that is attracted. When you become the dweller, this duality dissolves. You are no longer attracting abundance. You are abundance, and the world has no choice but to reflect your being. You stop being a magnet that attracts iron filings. You become a sun that radiates. A sun does not try to attract light and heat. It simply emits them as a natural consequence of what it is, a star in nuclear fusion, and the planets, opportunities, life by law, organize themselves around it, drawn by its immense gravitational field and nourished by its light. The life of a person who has made this shift, who has entered their finished temple, radiates three unmistakable qualities. They are not personality traits. They are emanations of a soul that has remembered its true nature. Unconditional peace. The first quality, the foundation of the temple, is a deep peace that does not depend on circumstances. It is not the calm you feel when you have paid all your bills. It is the calm you feel even if an unexpected bill appears at your door. Why? Because the dweller no longer seeks security in the mirror's reflection. Their security lies in the absolute knowledge that they are the cause of the reflection, an echo of the past, A shadow on the wall no longer has the power to disturb them, because their loyalty is not with the shadow, but with the light of their own consciousness. They know that any external circumstance is simply data, a message from the mirror that they can read calmly and transmute from their center of power. Their peace is non-negotiable. It is the atmosphere of their temple. Action as expression, not strategy. The second quality, the art practiced in the temple, is a radical change in the nature of action. The architect acts with a strategy. Their actions are calculated steps to achieve a result, to build the building. The dweller acts by expression. Their actions are not a means to an end. They are an end in themselves. They are the natural overflow of who they already are. A person who has become the embodiment of abundance does not give generously as a technique to receive more. They give because generosity is the natural expression of the abundance they already feel they are. A person who lives in the temple of love is not kind to attract a partner. They are kind because love is the fragrance that emanates from their being. A person who inhabits the consciousness of creativity does not write or paint to be an artist. They write and paint because it is the breath of their soul. Action ceases to be a tool of acquisition and becomes an act of celebrating. Identity, abundance as emanation. Finally, the dweller stops thinking in terms of attracting abundance. They understand that abundance is not something to be obtained, but something to be allowed. It is like the sun radiating light. Their practice is not to try to shine more. Their only practice is to remove any clouds, limiting beliefs, residual doubts that might be obscuring their own light. The dweller focuses on keeping their own vibration clear and radiant, knowing that if they do, abundance in all its forms, money, opportunities, relationships, inspiration, must by law gravitate toward them, not by an act of attraction, but as a natural consequence of their own luminous presence. They do not seek wealth. Wealth seeks them. The first practice, the dissolution of ritual, the scaffolding removed. Throughout this manual you have learned the sacred protocol of visualization, the nightly ritual, sensory construction, the seal of gratitude. These tools are the scaffolding, the training wheels that have allowed you to build the magnificent building of your new consciousness. But the goal of all scaffolding is not to remain forever. It is to be removed once the building is solid. The goal of training wheels is that one day, without realizing it, you no longer need them. The state of living in the temple arrives when the practice dissolves, not because you abandon it, but because you have integrated it. You have practiced it with such devotion, with such consistency, that it has become automatic, subconscious. It has become your new default state of being. You no longer need a 20-minute ritual to visualize abundance. Your mind by habit already thinks from abundance. The old programming of lack has become as foreign to your system as a forgotten language. You no longer need to strive to feel gratitude to raise your vibration. Your heart, by default, resides in a state of appreciation. Complaint feels unnatural, like trying to speak with an accent in your native tongue. You no longer need to practice faith to overcome the mirror test. Your certainty in your creative power is so fundamental, so intrinsic, that the echoes of the past no longer have the power to disturb you. Conscious effort to create dissolves into a state of being. The practice is no longer something you do. It is something you are. The architect has finished their work and now simply lives in the house. The second practice, the conscious choice of being, the dweller's compass. With the techniques dissolved into being, what then is the compass, the only protocol that guides the temple dweller? The answer is the simplest and the deepest of all, the conscious choice of the state of being moment by moment. And the indicator of that choice is peace. The master's practice is exquisitely simple. Follow the peace. Faced with the day's choices, from the smallest to the largest, they do not ask, what action will bring me the result I want? They ask, what choice allows me to remain in or return to my state of unconditional peace? They trust this compass with absolute faith, knowing that the path of inner peace is always the path of outer power and effortless manifestation. If a business opportunity, however lucrative it may seem, steals their peace, generates anxiety, the dweller knows it is a false door, an echo of the old struggle paradigm, and they discard it without hesitation. If a decision, however illogical or risky it may seem to the world, brings them a deep sense of inner calm and rightness, They know that is the inspired action, the movement of grace, and they take it with total confidence. Joy and peace cease to be the goal. They become the path and the compass. The third practice, living from the cause, the end of reaction. Finally, the temple dweller lives their life from a radically different place. They live from the cause, not the effect. The sleeping architect, the victim consciousness, lives from the outside in. Their external circumstances, the effect, dictate their internal state, the cause. The weather determines their mood. The balance in their bank account determines their sense of security. The opinions of others determine their worth. The awakened dweller lives from the inside out. Their internal state, the cause, dictates their external circumstances, the effect. Their inner peace creates a harmonious day. Their feeling of abundance creates a flow of prosperity. Their self-love creates loving relationships. Your practice is one of radical responsibility. At any point in your day, when you are faced with a circumstance you dislike, you resist the urge to react to it, to blame it, to fight it. Instead, you pause. You withdraw to your inner temple, and you ask yourself, what state of being in me is projecting this reflection? And what state of being do I choose to embody now to project a different reflection? You do not try to change the world. You change yourself, knowing that the world will have no choice but to follow you. Imagine an emperor who has dedicated years to building the most magnificent palace in the world. At first, he spent his days obsessed with the construction, overseeing every detail, worried about every possible flaw, working tirelessly. His life was constant stress, but one day the palace is finished. It is perfect. It is solid. And the emperor at last moves into it. His life changes completely. He no longer wakes up thinking about building. He wakes up thinking about governing from the beauty, security, and harmony of his palace. His actions are no longer those of an anxious builder, but those of a serene sovereign. He walks through his gardens, not to inspect them, but to enjoy their beauty. He hosts banquets, not to impress others, but to share his abundance. He issues decrees not from the need to control, but from the wisdom born of his inner peace. The palace is no longer his project. It is his home. And from that home, his simple presence, his being, radiates order, beauty, and power throughout the entire empire. You are that emperor, and your consciousness is that palace. The time of construction is over. It is time to start governing. Modern science opened the doors for us to the architecture of the brain, revealing the power of neuroplasticity, and taught us the language of the universe, frequency and vibration. And at the heart of the mystery, we witnessed the collapse of reality, discovering our role as the observer who turns potential into a fact. Then, we entered the workshop. We forged the master blueprint with crystalline clarity. We initiated the construction in the ether with the sensory ritual. We breathed life into it with the fire of the heart and protected it with the seal of certainty. And finally, we learned to live in the finished temple, not as builders but as sovereigns. You have completed the protocol. You have transitioned from a sleeping architect to an awakened master. But the final revelation, the secret that is unveiled when the cathedral is finished, is this. The goal of the journey was never to build the temple. The goal was that, in the process of construction, you would remember that you are the temple. The God's eye is not a tool you use. It is what you are. Your consciousness is the sacred space where all realities are born and die. You no longer need a protocol to visualize, because your very existence has become a living visualization. Your learning journey is over. Your life as a work of art begins now. Your practice is no longer one of designing, but of being. Your question every morning is no longer, what should I build today? But what beauty do I choose to radiate today from this temple that I am? If this forbidden protocol has awakened the architect within you and returned the keys to your own workshop, we invite you to continue this construction. Subscribe to our channel, Path of Knowledge, for more conscious creation manuals. Like this video as a declaration that you have awakened to your power as an architect. Share this knowledge with someone who needs to remember that they hold the blueprints in their own hand. Thank you for your time, for your courage to demolish your old prison, and for the brave decision to reclaim your power as the architect of your magnificent reality.